riding down Highway 61. The sides of the roads all lined with fields, nothing but sunset in the windshield. Feel it as soon as I ride into town. This is where I go to slow down. Miles and miles of soybeans and corn. I'm in the place where the blues was born. About a mile from the big muddy river, a place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away from being out in the sun all day. No matter where in the world I go, I'll always find home on the banks of that oxbow.
What's up, guys? Justin Berry here, back at the Crappie Connection here at the OKC show. Got my partner in crime right beside me,
Brad Chappell here.
and we got a Texas guest here, Jerry Hancock. He runs Hancock's Guide Service out of Texas. And you're from what town, Jerry?
I live in McKinney, about 35 miles north of Dallas.
McKinney. So, and you're retired and you guide, correct?
I guide full time. Not really retired. I did an early retirement. I had 23 years with the Postal Service, and kind of had enough of that. I've been guiding 21 years now. Some of that was part-time. I had a real job and did it on the side. But the last about 5 years been full-time. That's it. It's my only job.
Now, the reason we want to, me and Brad was talking and was interested because we both want to hit Texas, and we figured, hey, what the heck? We want to ask you a lot about Texas, what to expect, all the
Lake Fork, man. We hear everything about Lake Fork.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know
Lake Fork's
about.
famous. You know, it's the Grenada of Texas.
Is
you
it?
Know? It is. It's, Lake Fork and Lake of the Pines are the two lakes you're going to hear a lot about big fish in Texas. Not that there's some other lakes that don't have big fish. There is, but those two lakes are the two top lakes. And I'm a little bit, I like Fork myself. I make my living on Fork, but I do love the Pines too. There's people come down and they fish, especially this time of year. Pines has been on fire. You can see it all over social media. They're out there. Mm-hmm. They're whacking them, big fish, and I don't blame them. There's them guys are coming down Missouri all over to fish Pines, and you will start hearing more about Fork when we get closer to March. I'm catching good fish at Fork right now. They're deeper. And they're
how many acres is Fork?
Fork's 27,000 and change.
I was actually thinking it's a lot bigger than that.
And the fish is big. It's got two forks, and it's got a lot of fingers off of it, and coves, and it's carries its depth really well. So there's a lot of deep water in it, a lot of deep creeks and stuff. And out of 27,000 acres, there's probably 25,000 flooded timber.
Yeah.
So it fishes really big as far, because there's places it takes a long time to get to on that lake, and so it's a
single polar's dream.
It's a single polar's dream, and that's probably what's, especially now with live scope, it's one of those destination lakes. Mm-hmm. Like you guys in Mississippi, Washington and Grenada, and people over here, they all want to go over there and fish those lakes.
Right.
And then,
we want to come to the Fork.
and you guys a lot of people want to come to Texas and single pole, some timber lakes. So it is. I'm a single pole fisherman by heart. I grew up, and I grew up fishing timber. That's what I focus on 90% of the time. I don't fish bridges very often. I don't fish a lot of brush piles. I'm going to try to focus on timber, and that's 12 months out of the year if I can. There's some times a year that you can get out on some deep points and stuff, like right now, and drag jigs, and you can spider rig down there, mm-hmm. And do really well. I can do that, and we have been doing it some, but I've been having so much success out on the deep submerged timber on creek channels that it's hard to get off of it.
How deep?
I've been fishing 38 to 50 foot water, and we're catching fish 20 to 35 foot deep.
Man, single pole.
Yeah, and your black crappie will be a little more on the pole timber, and then the white crappie been on boat arc trees, and they'll be a little deeper. Those black crappie or the white crappie been around 30, 35 foot down in those big bushy boat arc trees, and then you'll see some big schools of white crappie up on the edge of these pole timber, and so you can go down through there, and you can almost tell, oh, there's black crappie, oh, there's white crappie, but yeah, deep, and that's tough fishing.
Yeah, question that real quick. So you got your jig how deep again?
We're catching some fish 38 foot.
Your jig's 38 foot down.
Wow.
So tell me what the process is when you have that hook set.
Real?
Yeah. I've been using mostly 12-foot rods lately. We're live scoping. I use 20-pound braid. I'm having most of my luck. I'm catching a lot of fish on a small 16th ounce hair tied jig. That you got to remember, I've got two people with me. I want 50 fish at the end of the day. We're trying to catch limits, and I'll pick up, out of 50 keepers in a day, on an average day, we're going to have 3 to 6 or 7 over 2-pound fish. But I really don't want to catch 52-pound fish. Right. We're having to keep. One thing about Pines and Fork, you have to remember, from December 1st till the last day of February, you have to keep every fish you catch.
That was my next question I had, because I remember you saying that. I'm going to mark that one.
So your first 25 fish, and you're done. Yeah. The trip's over. So, and I don't want to keep. You're not going to go catch 25 2-pounders. You're just not going to do it. But I don't want to either way. I want to catch enough big fish to make them happy, and then we catch a lot of good eating size fish. And I don't want 4-inch fish either. So that's one thing with live scope. I can stay away from the little fish. I can't really always tell how big a fish is that deep. They get kind of long. They don't look the same on live scope, but the quality is better out on that timber than it is getting up on your deep brush piles and bridges and stuff this time of year for the most part. So it's it's a lot of fun. To get back to your question, running live scope, what I'm doing, I'm getting out on the creek channel, and I'm not necessarily in it, but I'm close to it.
Right.
I'm probably within 50 yards of it, one side or another. I take my live scope, I'm running it out 50 or 60 feet, and I'm just going through there sweeping, scanning, and when I see a tree, a deep boat arc tree or a tree, I see fish on it, I just drive towards it, zoom back in, and get my boat in position. I fish it about 20 feet out is what I like on my live scope on that. If people use live scope, they understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'll get up there and get that boat in position to where we can get on top of the fish, and we'll drop straight down on them. And sometimes that deep, you're trying to get that jig down there as quick as you can. Sometimes fish swim off before you ever get your jig to them if they're a little bit spooky. And people don't think fish are spooky that deep, but they'll spook off 30 foot deep sometimes.
Really? I wouldn't think that deep.
I wouldn't either. Some days you can't run them off.
Yeah.
And it's some days it's
they're all spooky. Crappie fishing.
It's
every day is so different. Every day.
And it can change within the day.
Yeah.
I've been running into lately. It's been changing a little bit. These fish, I get out there one day and we had 2 limits. And 2 days later, I'm out there and I can't even see a fish. I'm like, where'd they go? Where'd they go? And I looked everywhere and really struggled. Figured out they got off the creek a little and they were sitting on the bottom, about 35 foot water. So, why? I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Weather related, something had to do with the weather. It was a full moon. I don't know. It's
food.
It's something's affecting them when they do that, and then the next day they're right back where they're supposed to be. So, it's with live scope you're able to figure that out pretty quick. But that fishing deep is.
You use a special reel for that?
I use a bait cast reel.
Reel?
I do. Most of my fishing.
You ain't got a reverse like some other guys do you, when you're fishing that deep?
A reverse?
Yeah. Some of them guys, who was it saying that? A lot of them jig fishermen I think the reel's on the opposite side.
Upside down?
Yeah, upside down.
That's how, I'm left-handed, So when I fish, I got my rod in my left hand upside down, my handle's away. When I pull my line,
that's what I'm getting at.
My line doesn't ever get in the handle.
Yeah.
So I've got some friends now that hold the rod in their right hand. They've actually got a left-handed reel, and they flip it over so the reel's out of the way. Now with live scope, we used to do that when we would fish in timber without live scope. We drop down and we would pull our line up, pull it up, then get a bite. We'd feed out 2 or 3 more feet, pull it back up. That's how we fish. Now with live scope, you can see exactly where your bait is related to the fish. So we don't do that as much.
The guesswork is gone.
The guesswork's gone. So I don't hold that line in my other hand like I used to much. So it doesn't matter really. It's a personal. I like bait cast reels. They're tougher. They don't tear up that line on that braid. Doesn't flip the bell open sometimes.
Right.
They store in my boat a lot easier in the rod box. The handles are smaller, and they never wear out. I don't wear them out. I got some that are 5 years old. I don't know how many thousands of fish we've caught on them, and they're just good as they work because we're not casting.
Right.
Yeah.
And
not getting the abuse like the regular bass reel.
No, they're not.
I got some other questions about Lake Fork because, like I said, I'm real interested in Lake Fork itself. You've got 2 arms, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is it 2 different river systems that feed it? Or?
Yeah, there's 2 different ones, and it doesn't have a big river. It's creeks. Lake Fork Creek. There's a running creek. There's several creeks, but it does. One good thing about the lake, it fluctuates about 2.5 feet normally. It's low right now. It's like 2.5. Well, that's really low for Fork. Man, I mean, Lavon, one of my other home lakes I fish on, low on it's 12 foot, highest 12 foot. Fork doesn't fluctuate that much, so we're lucky on that. So there is 2 forks. I will tell people that's listening, and this isn't a secret. If you come down in the spring, the west arm is where you want to be.
The west arm?
The west arm. All the tournaments are won on it.
I gotta write that down.
In the spring. Now in the summertime and this time of year, the east arm's not as big as the west. It's a little clear water. I'm not saying you can't catch fish on the east arm.
No, right.
I've got a good guide buddy that's got some spots on that east side that he's a jig and bobber guy. He likes to take customers and do that, and they hammer them. But if you're going to go out there and live scope timber or look for a big bite, that west arm's where you want to be, and you're going to want to be west of FM 2946 bridge.
Yeah, say that again. West of
2946. You're going to be on that far north end of the lake. I mean, I don't have to say this, but I'm not letting any secrets out of the bag.
Yeah.
It's if you got
it's
Crappie Masters
knowledge.
there. It's common knowledge. It's like when Crappie Masters has a tournament. There's an area up there. You go up there and you go, how do they get another boat in here?
Yeah.
And that's how it is. It's just that's where you want to go fish. Summertime. That east side, we've got some really good stuff. We like good timber. We like to fish deep boat arc trees and stuff. We generally focus on boat arc trees. I don't know if y'all call them boat arc trees.
We don't have them.
You don't have them? In Missouri, they'll call them hedge trees.
Right.
We hear them call that. Big bushy boat arcs. And we catch them on hardwoods. We call pole timber. That's just what we say. If it's not a boat arc, it's a pole timber.
I've never heard that phrase.
Yeah, and we're not like Lake of the Pines. Their pole timber is really pole timber. It looks like a telephone pole. Very seldom see. A lot of that timber doesn't have a limb anywhere on it because it's just a pine tree.
Yeah.
A lot of the timber on Fork is old, just con trees, oak trees. Some's got limbs. So but anything non-boat arc we call pole timber, just in our little circle, So you'll catch some on stumps, or we'll call them stumps, but them boat arcs they hold fish.
Yeah.
They hold fish.
Do you since you got the scope, the live scope, do you catch yourself roaming in open water more since Fork is such a structural place?
I tell you, at certain times of the year, I do. I tell you, I've had it a little over a year now, so I've got to fish in all 4 seasons with it on the lake. Last year, so what's going on right now? I'm out on the creek channel. I'm fishing fish that are tight to structure, and here in the next few weeks, they're going to turn around and go back shallower, head back up the lake, up that creek channel, and sometime around 1st of February, and I don't care what the water temperature is, they're going to get out in the mouth of these creeks and they're going to start suspending, waiting to spawn.
Right.
Now, last year I started catching them 1st of February, 42-degree water. I'm catching them 3 to 10 foot deep in 15, 20-foot water, open water. I caught them out there doing that till early March. Different waves of fish move in and out, those fish. And we had some cold snaps, so they didn't run to the bank like normally would. It was a little later spawn, but those fish did not relate to structure from February till March for the most part, early March. And then something happened, almost like overnight. I would start seeing every trip a few more fish pulled up on the tees, a few more fish in the boat arcs. And by the time middle of March came, a lot of fish were on structure. But there is a period where they're in open water, and we're chasing them down. They're around. There's timber everywhere underwater, but they're just not pulled up on a stump. They're just floating around out there in open water.
Yes, so you pretty much highly recommend to have somebody navigate a car to run if you're going to take a boat down there, huh?
Yeah, Fork, it's got some marked buoys, boat lanes, and there's some unmarked boat lanes too. And some of those unmarked boat lanes are sketchy at times, depending on the lake level. There is a card. I think it's Lake Fork boat lanes.
Oh, really?
Something. Yeah, there's actually a card for it. And Lake of the Pines has got one. There's somebody making a couple cards down there that are actually for different lakes. I've got it downloaded in my graph, and it'll pop up as a waypoint, give you a boat lane. But there's a good marked boat lane, and you get in, you're good. But once you get out of that boat lane, if you don't know where you're running, don't run.
Yeah.
You want to. It's that lake is timber, and most of it. That lake was built in 1980. Most of it's broke off, so it's right at the left. Surface water. Yeah.
Like
right now,
like the Pines.
Pines the same way. Pines, there's most of the timber's underwater at Pines too. You see some trees sticking up, but I would say the majority of it's underwater. And
so tell everybody what's a good average for if you're going to drive down there, you're going to make the run. If you live out of state like we do, what can you expect fish size wise? What's a good average, and do you know the record for each lake?
The lake record for Fork is 355 white crappie, and that was caught. Actually, a buddy of mine caught it. Super Bowl Sunday this year will be 3 years ago when that fish was caught, and I believe the black crappie is like 392.
Oh wow!
On Fork record.
You got a lot of,
but that was a long time ago. I say that was back, I think, in the late 90s when that fish was caught, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know Lake the Pines off the top of my head what the records are, but I'm going to say they're in that neighborhood, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
The average fish on Fork is, pound and a half, which to me, I call a good fish anything pound and a half and up.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't say huge, but it's a good fish.
It's good fish.
Pound and a half fish is pretty average. I'm not saying you're going to catch some smaller fish, but just the overall quality on Fork is really good. Pines is the same way. It's the overall quality is just better. In the springtime last year, the biggest fish we had caught on my boat was 313.
That's a true slab.
And then I've lost count now, but I remember from February to like the end of April, at one point we had like 330 over 2 pounds we had caught, in that 2 or 3 month period there.
You log that kind of stuff?
I kept up with it, just curious, and then I kind of lost count, and then I got so far off now I just give up. I wanted to do it all year. What I was doing is writing it down in a book and then
tallying up everything.
I got lazy and quit doing it, but
Right.
I just thought it'd be neat to know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm going to say, you're not going to, and especially if you go in March, April during that spawn period, you get out there when a lot of these guys that like to come down, we have a lot of tournaments, you're going to catch you're going to see a lot of, well over 2 pound fish. It's going to take in that time of year. You're going to need a 16 pound bag to win a tournament,
That's
probably
stout.
on 7 fish.
Very stout.
Yeah.
That's the neighborhood.
So what's the top color and what you use down there?
I've always been a black and chartreuse and white and chartreuse. And more black and chartreuse in the spring when the water was a little muddier, and white and chartreuse in the summer when it cleared up. And I could still do that and probably catch just as many. I do branch off some other colors, but electric chicken last spring in muddy water, I just slaughtered them with it. I use Strike King baits for the most part, so like crappie thunders and jokers and stuff like that. Black and chartreuse, anything chartreuse, June bug chartreuse, good color. Fork's not a extremely muddy lake. I know not what you guys are used to seeing probably in places, but it can, if it muddies up, get some color. It's moderately stained is what I would say it is. It's stained. You go down towards the dam, and on the east arm's usually a little bit clear, and I think that's why we struggle a little more on that east arm in the springtime than we do the west arms, because I like mud.
Yeah,
I really do. I wish Fork was a muddier lake, but colors, man. Like right now, I'm catching a ton of fish on a cinnamon blue hair jig. That's a good color. A gray with a pearl tail. Now I'm fishing pretty clear water more down south. But when I go back, this spring, I'm going to have something most time with chartreuse in it. Mm-hmm. And if I got color, it's going to be from your purples to blacks to red, orange chartreuse. We did really good on that. So, you guys probably heard people on live scope. I don't think color means as much as we think it does. After what I see with live scope, I think it's profile. And last year I always thought in muddy water I wouldn't get bit. They can't see it. Well, that we've proven that that's wrong. They can see it. Last year I was using rattles and spinners and all, trying to shake them, get their attention, because these fish wouldn't bite. I'm thinking they don't see it. I was getting big baits and doing all that. And I realized they can see it. They just didn't want it. Mm-hmm. So if you got a bait you're confident in, you can probably bring it over the fork, and you're gonna catch fish on it.
Well, that leads me into a product spotlight that we do every segment here. This is Bobby Guerlain Baits Baby Shad, a bait that's been proven to ever. But this is the Lights Out, which I would take down to Lake Fork, and I imagine I'll be able to catch some slabs.
Oh,
on
you
that
would.
dude.
I know that color. I hear them talk about it, and I definitely. That's it's kind of a black chartreuse.
Yeah.
That would be one of my go-to colors. Definitely.
I will bring it when I head to Fork.
You'll be able to catch fish on it. That's it. I know some guys that use Bobby Guerlain baits that fish for them, and I've heard them talk of that color on Fork.
I will bring them.
Mention it. Yeah, but I'd like to see you guys come down there sometime.
I want to come back.
We'll be calling you.
You might get a ring from us.
And I want to go to Mississippi. I've never been.
Over.
Really?
And I've never been. I want to go to Mississippi and go fishing. And Brad guides. You know how it is. I stay so busy. I'll be turning trips down in March and April, and so it's hard for me to get away, and go do it. And
you got to put that vacation time in, man.
Yeah, well, that's not a lot of paid vacation anymore, But I have a hard time. I'm fishing one of the best lakes in the country.
Yeah, you got to go try another one then.
So if I'm going to leave there, I'm going to have to go to a really good lake to make me get away from Fork. But if you like single pole fish, Lake Fork needs to be on your radar.
So Texas top 2 is Fork and Pines.
Fork and Pines, and Millwood, Arkansas is over by Texarkana. That's another single polar's dream lake. Yep. My favorite 3 lakes I've ever fished in my life is Fork, Millwood, and Pines. And if I flipped a coin, which one's better? Yeah. And Millwood's
it's very good.
It's another big fish. It's a great lake. Those 3 lakes are my 3 lakes that if I could, in any given day, I'm not going to say which one's better.
So if you have not traveled to Mississippi yet, what's the furthest lake you fished so far?
I've been to Truman. I've been to Gunnersville, Alabama. Fished a classic there years ago, Crappie Classic. I've been to up in Missouri, Alabama. We fished the Darbone. I fished a lot of lakes in Oklahoma. We used to do more of the Crappie USA and cast tournament, travel some. But since I've been fishing crappie anglers at Texas Tournament Trail, which most of them are pretty close to home. And like I said, just guiding. I just don't have the time. I would love to go fish Grenade in some of these tournaments over there in Darbone. And I mean, I watch these guys fish them and keep up with it and kind of envious. I've just been so busy guiding, I just don't have time to do it. With what I was the president of our crop anglers of Texas, so I was at every tournament we had there, so I was already committed once a month to be gone on a weekend.
Right.
And it's hard to do. So
it's very hard to do. It's hard. It's crazy for us traveling what we're doing right now with the connection here.
It is, so it's tough. But man, y'all need to come over sometime. Y'all need to get over there.
We'll have to come over there.
I got your card now. You can get me a free trip.
Yeah, you come over there. I'll put you up. We'll go fishing. And if anybody's ever coming to Fort and don't care what time of year it is, and you want to know, just hit me up, man. I'll tell you where to go. I'll tell you what depths. Help anybody out the best way I can,
It's a crappie connection there.
And point them in the right direction for sure.
Good deal. Well, guys, Jerry Hancock, Hancock's Guide Service. Phone number real quick in case you're wondering, 214-544-3678.
Appreciate it, Jerry.
That's it. Hey, man, I thank you guys. Man, I've enjoyed this show,
Same here,
getting to hang out with everybody. This has been a lot of fun, getting to hang out and talk crappie fishing with everybody. It's been really fun.
What we do, man. I've
watched you guys, so man, I feel honored. Now I'm on here, man. I'm famous,
You never know. Never know.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm Justin.
Brad Chappell here.
And we Jerry, again, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Hell, we're out of here. Thanks.
Holla.
Out from Big Muddy River, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away.